Memory, Body and Dance and Other Essays. If we look at the chapter in that book on statements and doubts about identity in Aotearoa, I think we start to get to some interesting things in that essay. It's a new essay, although it's based on a book that I wrote or put together a couple of years ago called Theories of Art, Performance and Societies, aka TAPS. I call the book TAPS as its acronym, following its acronym. But that book was really a look across the spectrum at what I considered anyway to be the spectrum, not everybody's spectrum of thought on identity in Aotearoa, but it was mine. And so I started with John Rangiho talking about being Māori, went on to Michael King talking about being Pākehā, then went on to Chris Laidlaw and a whole lot of other people, Lydia Weavers, Emma West, Janika Greenwood, a whole lot of people, all who I thought said something, sometimes pithy, sometimes not, but usually I quoted at length from each person and kept my own writing to a minimum. In fact, just two or three sentences at the beginning and 2 or 3 at the end of a discussion of a given person, letting their writing speak for themselves. So I had all this material in this book, and I thought, why don't I put together the statements that I see, the really bald statements, and the critiques of those statements. So we have John Rangiho on being Māori, we have Emma West with a critical look at the condition of being Māori, not necessarily talking about John's work, but talking about her own perceptions of that identity. And then we have Michael King and his being Pākehā, and we have Lydia Weavers and her critique of specifically of Michael and his concept of being Pākehā. She's not really criticising Michael himself, but she's criticising the concept of being Pākehā. So that seemed to me to be good, interesting, provocative even, and something that for some reason I haven't actually seen anywhere else. I put all this together in a kind of long book without actually doing a concertina thing where I just put the statements and the critiques of statements together, or the statements of identity and then the critiques of identity together, I should say. Now, having done that, I'm actually at an interesting point where I'm considering bringing in to a further edition of this paper, or a further write-up of this paper, a person, Huhana Forsyth, whose thesis I marked a few years ago on the Pākehā Māori. And in a sense, Huhana's work is another assertion. It's another statement, rather like John Rangiho's statement of being Māori, or Michael King's statement of being Pākehā. And of course we have had statements of being Pākehā Māori for a long time in this country, going all the way back to Manning, and of course you've had Kimball Bent, you've had lots of people talking about being Pākehā Māori, James K. Baxter even. So that's something that I haven't got in the paper, so what I'm trying to say here is that for future versions of this paper I will be bringing in the Pākehā Māori. As it stands, I think it's an interesting paper. I think it gives a lot to the book too, because the two head chapters in the book, the first chapter, Memory, Body and Dance, which is, yeah, it's got a very, very wide-ranging and good, by and large, I haven't had any negative, very good reception around the world. The chapter on identity, statements and doubt about identity, grounds things a little bit in this country, and really, I think, gives people a good idea actually of the country, in the sense that nothing is taken for granted. I like it. I like that, and I think I'm allowed to like it too, because I'm not saying that I like my own work. None of this is actually my own work. It's been my own work putting it together, putting it in counterpoint, so to speak, or juxtaposition, or whatever. But it's other people's work. You're with Peter Cleaver, and it's great to be talking to you today.